The chair recognizes the gentlelady from North Carolina, Ms. Foushee, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for your testimonies here today. My first question is to Dr. Chowdhury, and I think that I was really struck while reading your testimony by a particular line where you say, it is important to dispel the myth that governance stifles innovation, that during your career that you have found, and you talked about this a little earlier, governance is innovation. Can you please elaborate on that notion that governance is innovation in the context of AI, and how can the federal government and certainly Congress fulfill our oversight duties to get this right?
Thank you, and I would love to elaborate on this. And here's where we make a distinction between what is research and what ends up being applied. In my time helping Fortune 500 companies implement AI systems, 99% of the time, the reason they did not implement it is because they could not reliably trust or predict what the outcome was. They did not know if they were operating within the appropriate safeguards, if they would be breaking the law, what it even meant to possibly break the law, so they just decided to not do it. So by creating the appropriate sort of standards, guidelines, laws, and this is all within the remit of Congress, you actually help innovation by showing companies where the safe area to innovate and play is.
Would anyone else like to speak to this? Okay. So also, with the rise of artificial intelligence, researchers are increasingly in need of computing and data resources at scale. Unfortunately, there is a general lack of access to AI resources outside of the large tech companies. This has resulted in a steep resource divide between the top tech companies and smaller AI firms. Dr. Foushee and perhaps Mr. DeLong, can you speak to the needs of enabling innovation for smaller companies to access computing and data resources?
Yes, I can start there. I think it's important to realize that it's not just compute. I think there's been a very interesting study by the Center of Security and Emerging Technology saying that, for researchers to thrive and for companies to thrive, they need not only compute but good data and system access for AI. So when we look at providing the resources for all companies to thrive with AI, I think we need to be looking at all of that: compute, people, and system access, and provide more transparency. What we've seen on the platform, on the Hugging Face platform, is that when you give these tools to company, they thrive and they manage to use AI responsibly, right? We've seen everywhere from marble cutters, small businesses in the US using AI to detect material, a print shop using image generation to generate image and generate t-shirts or phone covers using AI. So I think by enabling and giving access to these resources more broadly, we can enable all companies to make use of AI.
Congresswoman, just to add, I think the federal government has a role to play here. There's a bit of ambiguity right now, going back to the conversation earlier about licensing versus registration. It's still the Wild West. Companies don't know, they need to train their models. They don't know exactly if they would be doing something illegal or doing something unethical by using certain data sets. If the government were to make data available and instruct companies and researchers to use that data source and remove this ambiguity, I think that would be, to Clem's point, I think that would be a huge step forward for these researchers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.